Let's get the show on the road. How about this for everybody? It's the most chaotic day on Japanese public transit. Peaceful, quiet, not too chaotic, right? How about the most peaceful day on American public transit? Yeah, come on, it's gotta be fun, right? Alright. There we go. Oh man. Well, welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome aboard this. Well, we're getting into October soon, so it's music's getting a little appropriate, right? Here we go. Only way to survive on American public transit, folks. Alrighty, okay, alrighty. Welcome aboard, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. How's it going? Okay, looks like we got some people lost on Discord here. Discord can't seem to figure itself out every single time. Every single time, Discord. Come on. Alrighty. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah. So what are we talking about today? What is the stream about today? Well. How about this for the big news? Yeah. Gotta love it. Oh man. But seriously, I'm the big four. Megadeth is probably my favorite. There we are, and Dave is live streaming too. Okay, there we are. Slayer is a close three to Metallica though. They're all good bands. But anyway, okay. So, big news of the week is that Hendrix out as CEX CEO. Yeah. So Joe Hendrix, who's been the president and CEO of CSX, has been pushed out of CSX Corporation. There you go. So the move comes as a surprise, as Hendrix on Friday had hosted a high-profile media event to mark the reopening of the Howell Street Tunnel, a linchpin of the railroad's plan to expand intermodal traffic into the port of Baltimore. Well, Hendrix was a former Ford CEO. Popular among CSX employees, making frequent visits along the railroad's network and completing early contract agreements with some of the railroad's unions. Okay, so he seemed like a pretty reasonable guy. He seemed pretty normal. But the company's stock price had failed to show substantial improvement. Here comes the kicker. Here we are. Since Hendrix joined CSX president and CEO in late September 2022, succeeding James Foote. And railroad's metrics has also trailed the other Class 1 carriers, leading, here we go. This is where we're going to talk about tonight. The Anaconda in the room, rather than the elephant. Anaconda's a pretty big too. Ancora Holdings, leading activist investor Ancora Holdings, this past summer to call for Hendrix to step down. Yeah, I guess they could do that, right? The change in leadership also follows the announcement by Union Pacific and CSX Eastern rival Norfolk Southern of an $85 billion merger that we've been talking about for quite a while. This channel now, since this has come out, would create the first U.S. transcontinental railroad. Okay, so yeah, long story short, especially now in modern day America, if you're the CEO of a company, you're basically going to be on a revolving door, where one CEO comes in. This is what happens. One CEO goes out, another one comes in. So now we have the former CEO of Lindy. I'm familiar with that company because that was a pretty big competitor to one of the former companies I worked for, Toyota Material Handling, the forklift Toyota. I would like to tell people that it's actually the original Toyota company, and the automobile company is a spin-off, but all good products, reliable. That's one of the main things. But Lindy is a European, I believe German or Austrian. I don't remember exactly where. I'm probably completely messing it up. But and Praxair, which created the world's largest industrial gases and engineering company. Angel was CEO of Praxair from 2007 to 2018 and became CEO after the merger in 2018. Okay, so that's the new guy now. There we go. Yeah, so this is the problem. One thing that we keep talking about when it comes to any sort of leadership in America is that CEOs, unfortunately, we talked about this before, particularly with another high-profile event concerning a CEO and concerning a certain Nintendo character, we can call it. The minute that CEO was disappeared in whatever way, a new one came in. So it's not like there's a glut of CEOs in any sort in America. They tend to just come and go, and this is what happens in publicly traded companies: is that you'll find this sort of chaos actually rather common. And especially now with a lot of private equity investments, activist investor holding groups, and all the sort of stuff, which we're going to get into when it comes to Ancora Holdings. The minute that you're not giving them money, the minute that you're not following Milton Friedman's his greatest commandment to all companies is not do the best job that you can, provide the best product and the best service to your customers. No, it's provide the best to your shareholders. If you provide shareholder value, who cares if the company is completely falling to the ground? But as long as you're giving, as long as those shareholders are getting dividends and they're getting money and they're getting stock buybacks, who cares, right? And this is the crony capitalism, unfortunately, that has just suffocated and has taken over America in the last several years. So let's talk about Ancora Holdings, right? And this is just one. The anacondas, or one of the creatures. Let's put it that way. It's one of several major creatures that has just been part of the main problem that we're seeing right now in the United States. Okay, you have crony capitalism on one side, and then you have socialist communism on the other side. The thing with both of these problems, they're both the same side they're both different sides of the same coin. And the problem with this coin is that the main purpose of it is that we own nothing and we will be happy. According to them, you will own nothing and you will be happy. That is the problem with just unfettered capitalism and communist socialism, is that ultimately you, the nation, the people, family, you as an individual own nothing. You don't have any ownership. You don't have any community. You own nothing, because it's all going to be owned and consolidated into either the government or into a whole bunch of just corporations. And that's the problem. Corporations, communism, it all lead. It's the problem is that it's leading to the same problem, the same thing. But let's go into this. Ancora was founded in 2003, so this is not like a new company, or this is not a Rockefeller company. Let's give at least the as their so-called robber barons. Okay, this is the massive difference between the capitalists of the Gilded Age, so-called robber barons, and now the ones that we see now today, the crony capitalists, so-called captains of industry. Completely different. You don't see Ancora Holdings building anything. They're trading these companies and moving stuff and trading CEOs like flipping Pokemon cards. Okay, they targeted firms, and here you go. Target is kind of a term. Let's just put it this way: they're mainly focusing firms like Norfolk Southern, Kohl's, CSX Transportation, U.S. Steel. So they have a thing. They have a thing here. Okay, and note to self. Here we go. Reuters notes that their nominations are ahead of the industry average in gender diversity. Okay, so these are not your chauvinist conservative or whatever people know. These people believe all full front into DEI, into leftist DEI. Okay, let's put it this way: as long as it makes some money. Okay, it's the socialism that we get is we pay and they capitalize on the gains. That's what they get. All right, so yeah. They're basically like vulture capitalists in a sense. Bed Bath and Beyond and Kohl's. You don't see Bed Bath and Beyond anymore, and Kohl's is going the same way. So use your Kohl's cash whenever you can. Talking to my mother-in-law, who probably has she's probably ranked #1 in use of Kohl's cash in the country, probably. Yeah, that's it. Hey, you got to use them before this company gets sued. So yeah, they're not new to this. We've talked about Ancora Holdings before. Let's see if I can get through this at about 8:45. We got just a couple things here, a couple articles, and we're mainly going to talk about this, and then you guys can talk about whatever you want. If you want to talk about this, perfectly fine. But if you want to talk about something else, we can go there. But we've talked about Ancora Holdings before, particularly with Norfolk Southern, and we'll get to that in a second, because this company has done sort of the same thing over and over and over again, and they've been quite out there. Okay, In February 2025, this is what happened with U.S. Steel. Okay, they were a part of that as well. A proxy battle, the dismissal of U.S. Steel CEO, and the rejection of legislation to rekindle the Nippon Steel deal. Yeah. So whenever Ancora Holdings doesn't get what they want, they go after the CEO and they start a complete, let's say, shitstorm over it. And how much of a shitstorm will it get? We'll talk about what they did to Norfolk Southern. It's kind of funny, but it's kind of scary at the same time. Ancora pointed out it's not interested in selling U.S. Steel, but initiating a turnaround in public markets, beginning with naming 9 candidates, including Steel co-CEO Alan Kestenbaum, to the blah, 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 blah. Okay, anyway, let's get to it. Ancora management contended that the U.S. Steel sale to a foreign firm had hurt U.S. Steel's shareholders. Not that it cares about what it means to the country or to the workers or to America as a whole. It hurt the shareholders. The steelmaker had focused on legislative rather than operational and business issues. Ancora proposed the shareholders will unite around Kestenbaum as he would cease payments to the Wall Street advisors, focus on recovery strategy, and mend relations with steel unions. In February 2025, U.S. President Donald Trump announced Nippon Steel would be investing in U.S. Steel, not purchasing the company outright without mentioning any details of the investment, to the point that even Trump had to get involved. That was one. But then we talked about this last year, about Norfolk Southern. Okay? And we'll get into Norfolk Southern real quickly over here. So let's get into that. So Norfolk Southern management fends off board takeover by Ancora. So after Norfolk Southern was having a not so great time after their own fault with East Palestine and precision scheduled railroading type of their precision scheduled railroading system that they had been running that had directly caused the accident because they don't go ahead and look at their or they don't actually take care of the equipment anymore. Or let's put it this way: they've decreased the amount of opportunities to go ahead and actually repair the equipment. They haven't done any sort of inspections, or they've decreased the amount of inspections, and they're decreasing the safety factors in order to go ahead and increase operational revenue. That's basically what they've done. That's what precision scheduled railroading, which we've talked about ad nauseum on this channel too. So let's get into this here. Now, folks, this was back in May 9th, 2024. We've talked about this before. I'm just refreshing everybody's memory here. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk a lot about trains here. So if you're watching and you have no clue what's going on, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, because this is what we do here. Speaking of, I'm going to get a drink over here because we haven't had any autumn here in the Midwest. Summer is still lingering, but I'm going to enjoy a maple root from Sprecher, because I went to Menards today to get some autumn decorations to try to at least invoke some sort of autumn fall atmosphere around over here. At least we can have that. But let's go ahead. All right. The result of the shareholder vote announced at a company's annual meeting did cost board chair Amy Miles her position, as she was not reelected, but CEO Alan Shaw was returned to his seat on Norfolk Southern board, and of 7 Ancora nominees, only 3 were elected. So they tried everything they can to get rid of this Norfolk Southern CEO, which at the time he was doing everything he could to save face for Norfolk Southern. He was putting a lot of costs into going ahead and increasing safety after that, or skipping around it or whatever, doing the same sort of corporate thing. But at least it seemed like he was trying to go ahead and increase investments into safety at Norfolk Southern, of which Ancora was not really happy about, okay? Because they've tried this over and over again and talked about making sure that they go back on the path of precision scheduled railroading, as we can see over here. Activist investor group would put Norfolk Southern back on PSR path, reduce operating ratio to 57%. So they were upset that Norfolk Southern was trying to fix their stuff, trying to get back into a more safety mindset. And in fact, if you look at the SEC filings over here, this is all public. You can go into the SEC filings, you go to Norfolk Southern and see what any of their investors or anything that the company has put out as their own communications. That's all collected on the Security and Exchange Commission. They collect all that information. That's all there. That's all public information. But Ancora Holdings, really quickly, and you can see over here, Norfolk Southern Corporation, name and registry, Ancora Catalyst Institutional LP, Ancora Advisors, Ancora Alternatives, Ancora Bellator Fund. I don't know, maybe they're getting into UFC or something. Ancora Catalyst, Ancora Family Wealth Advice, Ancora Group, Ancora Holdings. Okay, so they have a whole bunch of these different shell holding companies. We get it. All right, fine. Name of persons registered. Okay, so this is what they call trying to move Norfolk Southern's what they call move NSC forward. They were starting to get upset that they were starting to spend money into any sort of things in terms of safety or anything like that. Now, Ancora Holdings is smart, and of course they're not going to go and say we don't like that they're doing safety. We don't like that, so we want them to stop doing it. But there's a whole entire and I'm sorry if everything was late over here. A lot of my time right now is being spent into looking at this because this was a massive, long PDF over here and a massive presentation. There's like 170 something pages if it will actually go ahead and bring itself up over here. So they were trying to do everything as possible as they can to get rid of Shaw as CEO. Okay, and a lot of it they go into cost, and they want. They're really wanting some sort of mergers as well. They were not up. They were pretty upset that there was no sort of merger. Let's go into the safety over here. Cost control, manage cost, targeted creating network operating leverage. They're trying to, again, their whole solution, PSR powered scheduled network strategy. So they go into this whole article or this whole entire thing of how it's, oh, well, Shaw has been bad for the company, which, yeah, in a sense he has. But they're trying to go ahead and frame it as what happened in East Palestine was all a part of that, which East Palestine, all what happened there was all precision scheduled railroad. Okay? That was nothing to do with getting away from precision scheduled railroading. That was precision scheduled railroading. So they're going ahead around here. And you can go and look at this whole entire thing. I can put links to this below, but reading through this and showcasing how they want to increase, let's say, train velocity. And again, talking about this sort of stuff, increasing train velocity from 37%. That's what they want us to that, because they want to bring somebody from Kansas City Southern into as CEO of. At this time, they wanted to have him as CEO of Norfolk Southern. Okay, increasing train velocity and talking about the merger as well. And they're really pushing for a merger with CSX. So I know I'm going all over the place over here, but I'm trying to put this argument over together. Okay, so at the time, again, they're talking about this. They didn't get it the first time around. So Ancora didn't oust Norfolk Southern Shaw at first, but ultimately succeeded. So what did they do to get rid of Shaw? Because the first vote around, Shaw was able to keep his job. Okay, he was able to stay there and whatever. Ancora wasn't happy. So what did they do? They go ahead and dig up an affair that he had. Here you are. In the end, Ancora got its man, because here first fends off board takeover by Ancora. So that was Thursday, May 9th, 2024. So a couple months later, September 12th, 2024, they finally get what they wanted. In the end, Ancora got its man. In a stunning turn of events that could not have been foreseen, when Alan Shaw, then the CEO of Norfolk Southern, swatted away a proxy battle by Ancora Holdings in May to have it removed from his job, Shaw is now gone anyway. He was felled soon after the launch of an investigation of a personal relationship with the company's chief legal officer, Navanita C. Nag. Don't simp, first of all. Don't simp. Don't have affairs. That wasn't a good thing. But second of all, again, who knows if this was true or not? There you are. It was Ancora that spurred the investigation that was disclosed to the public on Sunday, but which has at least proceeded far enough by Wednesday that Shaw and Nag were both dismissed. They leave the company without severance. So they got what they wanted. So whether this Whether this relationship or anything like that, or this affair was real or not, the fact that Ancora Holdings, basically, they probably hired some sort of private investigator or made up the dirt or however else themselves, went ahead to go ahead and launch this investigation, find this out. They got what they wanted. So why am I talking about this? Because this holding company will do whatever it takes to go ahead and get what they want, to go ahead and increase operating revenue, to increase their shareholder. If their CEO is not going ahead doing what they want, they will go ahead and remove them. Now you're asking me, well, yeah, they're a private holding company and they should be getting rid of CEOs that don't do well, and they should be getting rid of people who don't perform, and they should be getting rid of people who have affairs at work. What's wrong with that? Well, that's not the thing. We're not talking about all that. All that sort of stuff is wrong. Okay, what Norfolk Southern did in East Palestine was blatantly wrong. What they've continued to do now, even now, worse. Okay, since Shaw has been taken off of the helm at Norfolk Southern, they've only become worse now that Ancora basically controls Norfolk Southern. They're now going into this full-on merger with BNSF, which at this point is looking more inevitable every day. They've also now gone even heavily further into denying whatever they did in East Palestine. In just the last year alone, going ahead and now suing any sort of company that had any involved with it, suing Dow Chemical, suing the maker of the car that where the chemicals were contained in. This company is doing everything it can to make Norfolk Southern even worse. Okay? Shaw was bad. Let's put it that. Shaw wasn't a great guy. God. Okay? And if this is true, again, this investigation didn't amount to much of, it wasn't proven in court or anything like that. And frankly, I don't care. But yeah, that's wrong. Okay? If he did do that, let's say, again, innocent until proven guilty. If he did have this affair, wrong. Okay? So Shaw's not a good guy. But now they put in somebody even worse. And this is the problem. Why is it that a private holding company valued at $9.5 billion has so much control over critical American infrastructure? How can they have so much control that if they want to snap their fingers like Thanos, they can change the entire board? Like nothing. Okay? By the way, here we are. It's only getting worse on both sides. The CSX has kind of put themselves in a problem. So now, yeah, Ancora sought to require CSX to quickly proceed with merger communications with BNSF or Canadian Pacific Kansas City, i.e. the one company that already went ahead and merged already in the last 2 or 3 years. Okay? So now Ancora wants to go ahead, and why? Because mergers make the money. Okay? At least at the onset of a merger, they're going to make a ton of money. So on top of that, to quickly go ahead and proceed with merger communication, BNSF or Canadian Pacific, while asserting that CEO Joe Henrich should be replaced because of claimed financial and operational decline of the railroad, among other claims. Even though since Henrich joined CEX in 2022, the railroad has produced the best total shareholder returns among publicly traded Class 1 railroads. Okay, so yeah, and there you go. And this was on here. Strongly disagrees with activist investors' accusations. And we'll go into that. Okay, why was Henrich booted off of CSX? Because he says this, the obsession with profit margins is stunting the railroad's growth. Subtitle, carriers can be efficient and compete with trucks, Henrich says. Now, Henrich seems to be a good guy. He seems to be pretty well lauded. And you can tell over here. Here we are. President Henrich was popular among CSX employees, making frequent visits along the railroad network and completing early contract agreements with some of the railroad's unions. Okay. So it looks like he was a good guy. He respected his employees. He respected the railroad, and he wanted it to succeed. And Gordon didn't like that because it doesn't make them enough money. Not making them money quickly enough. And then he said this, obsession with profit margins stunting railroad's growth. Uh-oh. You're not making money fast enough. So the average Class 1 railroad operating ratio fell from 70.8 in 2012 to a record low 59.9% in 2021. What does operating ratio mean? That basically for Oh, it is over here. For every 70 cents you spend, you make $1. Well, now for every 60 cents you make, you get $1. So that's what the operating ratio is. The lower it is, the better. The less you spend, the more money you get. Hence, a better operating ratio. That's what they're really going for. This is the stat that makes it all for shareholder value. So here we go. This is what he's saying. Let's be honest. The last 10 to 15 years, the main focus of the industry has been restructuring the business to get a lot more efficient to create better margins, which in itself isn't a bad thing, Hendricks says. But that was the number one focus. And you can see all that activist activity and all the things that went on to drive that obsession with operational revenue improvement, which again, unto itself is not bad. He's giving himself as much benefit of the doubt here and much disclaimers as possible. He's trying to be nice, okay? Hendrick says, but there wasn't at the time the same drive to grow volume. The only incentive for railroad management teams over the past decade plus, Hendrick says, has been to reduce the operating ratio. He's saying the truth. Okay, we haven't seen. This is why we haven't seen so much innovation. No sort of technological innovation. No sort of operational innovation. No sort of way to go ahead and improve the railroads, improve the technology, improve maybe going back into passenger revenue service. And this is why a lot of these railroads try to snub Amtrak as much as possible by not letting them onto the railroad. A, because they're mainly now under pressure to keep these trains running 24/7. And Amtrak can't even get on there, even though by federal law, Amtrak is supposed to have priority to use the freight railroad tracks because Amtrak doesn't own outside of a couple of places in the Northeast Corridor. They don't own these tracks. So now because they have a whole bunch of pressure from the supervisors, all the rail yards, and all that pressure is coming from mainly from these private investment corporations, these private equity funds, and these investor activist investment groups that are pushing. No, you have to keep running the railroads. No, you have to keep running the railroads. Don't stop it. Don't stop the trains. Don't. It's on fire. Don't stop it. Keep running it. I don't care. No, keep running the trains. That's basically what they're getting from up top. That's what Ancora Holdings wants. So they can make all this stuff if they want to talk about safety or anything like that. The only thing they talk about, really, what they want, is talking about, and they're saying it in a sense over here. Let me go ahead and let's just zoom this out here. Maybe you guys can see that better. They're in a way saying that the whole safety investments right after East Palestine for Norfolk Southern was seen as a defensive maneuver. Now, again, how real is that? I don't know, but it seems, again, they say it over here. They want precision scheduled railroad, which is what has caused the decline and destruction of America's freight railroads. It's right there, plain, clear, and simple. The case for operationally proficient leaders and a PSR-powered scheduled network. Not about a railroad for tomorrow, not about a railroad that gives back to the community, not about a railroad that is constantly innovating, becoming better, and improving operations all around and improving safety. No, precision scheduled railroading. They want the money. It's always been about the money, but this is the problem, is that they're using capital as a bludgeon against us and using it for their own good, while we own nothing and they will be happy. So that's what they're doing. They're not trying to make a better company. And once this is done, they'll just move on to the next. These are rootless people without any sort of actual care in the world. It's not like at least the Rockefellers or the JP Morgans of the world 100 years ago at least gave back to their communities. They didn't just jet off to, away to go vacation in Miami or London or to Tel Aviv or wherever the heck they disappear to whenever things aren't going well. Okay? At least the Morgans and the Rockefellers and the Carnegies at least left America with massive infrastructure improvement. Okay? At least Vanderbilt, still there. It's still there, this New York Central terminal. Okay? All of these buildings and all this infrastructure that at least the past capitalists left, and the ones who are here now are really the true robber barons. And that's really the issue and problem. They're using that. That ultimately leaves. It's what happened to Russia. Russia went from communism to full-blown crony capitalism under perestroika. They never got somewhere balanced or something just at least safe. Now they're in some sort of weirdo economic bubble, but that's not the problem. The problem is that we're going into full-on perestroika over here because you have a whole bunch of these companies basically buying up everything, and we have no control. There's no community control. There's some companies that are doing well. Yeah, but you don't, for every Fortress Investment Groups, for every one bright light that is using capital to actually build something, that's what's amazing about Brightline. Okay, that for the first time in 100 years, nearly 100 years, a private railroad corporation has come out to go ahead and build a passenger railroad system, a high-speed rail passenger railroad system. You're not going to see this from most of the other companies. You're not seeing it because it doesn't make them quick money, which is why Brightline has been attacked by a lot of these sorts of corporations because it doesn't make them money quickly. They want the quick money, not making something that's going to be long-term beneficial, not just for the company, but long-term beneficial for Americans as a whole. And that's the problem with this. So here you go again. And to make it even worse, when it comes to now the merger, or now a potential merger between CSX and BNSF. CSX has now hired Goldman Sachs to advise regarding any merger matters. Remember Goldman Sachs, guys? Remember it wasn't too long ago. What happened? Oh, back in 2008. Yeah, Goldman was criticized for allegedly misleading its investors and profiting from the collapse of the mortgage market during the 2008 financial crisis. Did anybody go to jail after that? Remember the golden parachutes? This is what we're talking about. Again, there's no consequences for this type of behavior, and that's not going to lead this. No changes. No consequences, no changes. Okay? Good on Henricks for going ahead and saying the truth. Okay? Again, why these Class 1 railroads have just become lethargic giants that have not innovated, that have not been able to go ahead and push forward and actually make real improvements to their network, for their customers, and for this country, so we can have actual real working jobs and actual real wages over here, and real companies and real jobs that Americans can have over here again, is because of this sort of mindset. Okay? And these companies will do the same thing. They will do anything they can. It's the same sort of obsession. Why all of a lot of our factories have gone overseas is for the same thing, because they can go ahead and charge wages over there $1 a day rather than giving an American an actual real family wage. That's the problem. It's that same sort of thinking that we're seeing over here, and that is what's leading to these sorts of problems in America. And they've been called out for it a couple times. Here's one: Ancora safety white paper can't withstand a simple fact check. So they did everything they can to bludgeon Norfolk Southern to get rid of their CEO, again, who was not a good guy. The fact that he had, look, here's the difference. They had to do whatever they can to push CSX as CEO. They didn't come to any sort of thing to say that, oh yeah, he was having an affair or any sort of excuse like that. They just got rid of him. And what they said here is they used probably his own words. They probably used his own words to the shareholders to say, hey, the only incentive for railroad management over the past decade has been to reduce operating ratio. They gave that to the money people over the shareholders. They say, hey, he doesn't like that you're making money. Get him out. Get it off the board immediately. There you go. There you are. And this guy gave himself enough better than doubt. Look at it. I'm not criticizing it because look at the efficiencies and operating margins, but if your only pursuit is every quarter trying to show a little better operating revenue, then intermodal business is not going to be your priority, or other truck competitive carload businesses. Let's say because pricing dynamics are different. So that's the reason why the railroads have been having such an issue going against it, which the trucking industry is not really running too good. It's not really a great running industry right now. I mean, how many accidents are now happening in the trucking industry? How much fraud is happening in the trucking industry? How much waste is now in the trucking industry? And on top of that, we all have to pay for how inefficient the trucking industry is right now because of all the accidents, because of all the usage on the roads that we pay the taxes for and they never get fixed. And there's so much truck traffic now everywhere you look. And again, it's causing a clog up on our infrastructure. It's causing a danger to our infrastructure, to all of us. So yeah, this is part of the reason why we can't get trucks off the road. It's because again, the railroads have been hampered, not just by the federal government not doing anything about it, but also you have on one side the federal government over-regulating everything, so you can't really have smaller railroads take over. But or at least you're not even forcing some sort of deconsolidation. But on the other side, you have this ultra crony capitalist, this corporatocracy taking over, bludgeoning on both sides, going ahead and saying, "Yeah, no, we just want money." This is the problem. This is what we're stuck with. Okay, and the reason why nobody else is really talking about this now except for us, but it just became a warning to me the minute that I saw this article yesterday, and then I read through it and I said, Ancora Holdings. Didn't we talk about them before? And there's a whole blood trail with this company over here. Okay, they'll use whatever excuse they can to go ahead and make blame. They don't care about safety. They can go ahead and talk eloquent all they want about safety. They don't care about it because what's their first and only priority is dead. There you go. The case for operationally proficient leaders and precision skilled railroading powered scheduled network. That's it. It's all about operating revenue. Means more stock buybacks, means more dividends for them. Now, that doesn't mean anything really for us. And they'll go ahead and suck dry these railroads to the ground and move on to the next carcass. Ultimately, what they're sucking dry is our country and our nation. That's the problem that we're facing today. On one side, an over-regulating government that can't seem to figure itself out, bludgeoning us over and over again with just the wrong types of regulation. For us to go ahead and make a small business, we're met all the time with a whole bunch of just this massive framework that the average American can't get over. So they're stuck with gig work, or they're stuck with in a dead-end job. They can't move out. There's no upward mobility. They can't have families. And then on the other side, this is what we're stuck with. Yeah, this is really one of the main issues. Why? Why is it that you have, again, massive amounts of immigration? Because it makes these companies money. Why is it that you have that, you can't own a house or anything like that? You're just now being forced to rent wherever you go. Because these companies have bought up a whole bunch of rental properties and a whole bunch of houses and have driven the prices up. We're facing this on both sides of this. We don't have a chance as a nation if we can't go ahead and at least address this. So yeah, look, a lot to go over, but yeah, it kind of deserves its own video, and I don't really see that many people talking about it. I'm pretty sure, guaranteed, you're gonna find like disingenuous channels like More Perfect Union go ahead and take this. But again, the problem that ticks me off about More Perfect, which again, they're Act Blue, by the way. Okay, they're basically a whole bunch of Bernie bros that go ahead and make an argument and say, oh yeah, everything we all agree with. Yeah, we don't like data centers propping up all over the place. Yeah, we don't like a whole bunch of companies going ahead and throwing chemicals all into our food and stuff like that. But then the solutions they give is just more government. That it's just disingenuous, just plain out bad faith garbage. So at least we have to say the truth or something, at least like that. This is not the way to fix this, honestly, is that you have to find some other way around this. Okay? Again, the sort of critical infrastructure should not be going ahead and trading around like flipping Pokemon cards. Okay? Same thing that comes to housing. Okay? Housing should be housing. Okay? They shouldn't be these sorts of investments that are continually driven up in prices and price out families and younger people to go ahead and have homes. Okay? There's just some things that just shouldn't be played around like that. Okay? and actually implementing actual real antitrust, busting monopolies. This in itself is a monopoly. Look, they did this not just to CSX, but to Norfolk Southern. Okay? Yeah, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. Three of the biggest problems when it comes to this. But look at all the smaller creatures here. This is just one. Ancora Holdings. I'm pretty sure we can go ahead and find a whole bunch of other companies that do this sort of garbage. Okay? And again, the other problem it comes to is that they're using investment instead of going ahead and putting that money back into the railroads to go ahead and upgrade the infrastructure, upgrade the equipment, upgrade the safety measures. They're taking that money and giving it back to the shareholders, either as dividends, using it as stock buybacks, whatever. They're just cycling money. Instead of using capital to build actual real investments, actual real infrastructure, they're just using that money to go ahead and make money. They're just going like this, rubbing the money, making more money. That's not a real economy. That's vulture. This is the vulture economy. Okay, this is why we have so many zombie companies now. Okay. Anyway, I mean, I don't know how else we can talk about this. I'm done talking. You guys can do the talking, but it's just infuriating. Oh man, it just sucks. It's just we're stuck. Anywhere we go, it's just one thing after another, man. All righty, everybody, come on over here. Welcome to the club.
Is because one, I have a family member who worked for CXX.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Hey, everybody. Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Guys,
A lot to talk about.
I have a family member who worked for CXX.
All right. Okay. Hold on. Let's do this. Okay. So let's do this one at a time. We'll go in terms. David, you go ahead. 2 minutes for everybody. Let's put a 2-minute timer somewhere. 2 minutes for everybody. Right. Be quick.
All right. Let me pick it up. I have a family member who worked for CXX. I was talking to him about it yesterday when he stopped by my workplace because he was on his way to work. They were talking about what happened, and a ton of the employees are pissed. They're talking about walking around out nationwide.
Yeah, there should be.
Keep your heads up. The next 12 months, they're going to probably be a massive lockout of CXX. And here's the other thing. Zane, what happened to CXX? All the big corporations doing it? This should be illegal. Hell, if it had happened back when Teddy Roosevelt was in office, like back in his day, I guarantee y'all this. If this had happened, half of them would be rotting in jail right now. Probably won't see the light of day until their 90s. You know?
What is it that Teddy said? Speak softly, carry a big stick, something.
Yep.
Speak calmly, carry a big stick, and you shall go far.
Oh, yeah.
It's an African proverb that he gets attributed to him.
And
that's true, Minor Tree. David, go ahead.
Let me be on. Like, the companies that are doing this to CXX and Norfolk Southern right now, if I was the president right now, I'm going to bring it up. If I was the president, I would have literally raided all their businesses, put them in handcuffs, and throw them in jail. That's what I would do. But all right, got it. Sorry about that. Family member letting me know there was food ready, but
no worries, man.
Let me get back to this. Literally, because what the people are doing to our nation, it a crime. It's criminal. Like, they should be rotting in jail. Worse yet, what they do to the country should count as treason. It should be counted as treason. They should be hung.
All right. Okay, we got. That's a bit David, but no, you got a point there. Okay, yeah, it's robbing our nation. Because our kids, which I'm having a kid, God willing, and hopefully many more, and our grandkids are not going to have a nation. They're going to be stuck. You will own nothing, and you will be happy because everything's going to be owned by BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. They're not going to be able to have a piece or pie of the American dream. They're not going to be able to go ahead and say, I want to innovate, or I want to invent something. I want to help my community. I want to make something great. They're not going to be able to do that because they're going to be surrounded by a whole bunch of legislation, a whole bunch of regulations that stop them from doing what they want to go ahead and do what's right, stop them from being the best that they can be. And all the deregulation is going up for the top. This company has again nothing. They've hit no sort of consequences whatsoever. The same thing like Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
Goldman Sachs is still in business. They're making revenue. There you go. In 2024, they made $53.5 billion. They have $1.68 trillion in assets. So they didn't pay anything for what they did in 2008. They're doing fine and dandy. They are good to go, man.
Here's the funny thing. If Goldman Sachs have not done their shit, like if Goldman Sachs would not even exist, we would have been able to afford a house right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I apologize for going over time, but yeah, David, good talk, man. All right, who's next? It is Minor Tree.
Yes, I've got a few quick things to say. The first one, since your wife is pregnant, you might have to drink one for her, but drink it in moderation now. You can't go too far.
Always in moderation.
The second one, I'm gonna have to rebuke you from earlier when you were attributing to Milton Friedman of meeting the shareholders' demands right now. It's not the shareholders' demand right now. It's for the next quarter's projections, and if it destroys the company within the next decade, who cares?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, but
And
the third point, you can pull up the CXX article when they were talking about the company, and they had an interesting point of their avoidable safety issues. If you have to put that on a PowerPoint, it's a bigger issue than you might have mentioned. Because, come on, if it's avoidable, that means you've known about it ahead of time, and it hurts you to lift a finger to do something about it.
And they did. They known about it before, and I want to chime in real quick about this. What did happen in the wrong? In hell, I'm already calling it. We're going to have something this as bad at Penn Central. We're going to have a Penn Central 2.0 collapse. I'm already calling it.
Yeah, probably true. Minor Tree, any other points to? All right, guys, one at a time.
If I'm going to take any bets, it's probably going to be down to the individual month. So if you give me some time, I can get you some odds for individual months for the next decade.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
It's probably going to happen statistically to one of the class 1 or 2 railroads in the next decade, if not sooner.
Yeah, definitely there's going to be some sort of slow collapse over here. That's definitely something we're going to be looking at. It cannot last like this. This is it's continually churning out. I'm sorry to say, but
guys, how's our involvement going to?
Darius, you just jumped right into what I was saying.
I just said, how's our involvement in these corporations, and how our involvement in our communities to stop these corporations and put them on a restraint?
I'll get to that. Hold on. I'll get to that. But wait, hold on.
There's
community votes.
All right, guys, let me finish.
There's a way to solve it, and this is before I hand it over to Grand Trunk. And the easy way of doing it is to become a shareholder of it, probably closer to 10% of the total company minimum before they give you a big enough voice. Other than that, you can get with your friends to get that amount of shares, and then you all speak as one. But
even with a big enough
very
voice,
expensive.
Yeah, here's the problem with that. Look what happened with GameStop.
Like
Wait, stop.
It's
Everybody
kind of
stop.
like a game.
Yes, I gotta get where's my train whistle over here? Okay, here's the problem with doing that. What happened with GameStop? You had a whole bunch of investors, or a whole bunch of just regular people. Regular people get ahead and go ahead, collaborate, get together and organize and say, hey, let's keep buying up shares of GameStop. There's this company that's going ahead and shorting the stock more or less to zero to go ahead and keep making it. They're buying more stocks than there actually exist to go ahead and short it to an unbelievable level. That's illegal. So let's go ahead and buy as much stocks as possible to drive up the price and drive them out of business and make money at the same time. Who got in trouble? Not the company that was doing something illegal, shorting the stock. It were all the regular folks that went ahead and they got in trouble. And that's kind of the issue that we're going against over here. Again, the regulations seem to go against, they go against the little guy, and all the deregulation goes up to, it's an imbalance of regulation. And then our economy turns into this disgusting human centipede of just taking out more cash. I know it's a disgusting analogy, but it's true. This is what this sort of crony capitalism does.
And Dimitri,
All right.
saying they literally admitted that they want us to be their slave, making their money while we're struggling.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's give Grand Trump line time, and then after everybody's done, then everybody can go for free for all. But everybody needs to have at least 2 minutes. Okay, Grand Trump line, go ahead.
When it came to mergers, the reason why Canadian Pacific merged with Kansas City Southern,
I'm gonna get some
What?
beans.
when it was not much tracking, they allowed that to go through because there was not much trackage according to the FTB law that came out in 2001. In my
Like, it creeps.
You keep going, man. You're good. You're good. Go ahead.
like there was not much trackage that they owned. But Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern, that's a different story. Hey,
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's the difference between. I mean, you're completely right, Grand Trunk line. So the difference between what happened with Canadian Pacific and why that one was not as dangerous of a merger as some of the others is because, again, look at the lines over here. This is Kansas City, and then Canadian Pacific is all up over here. Now most of the lines up over in, here you go, in Alberta, Edmonton, Calgary, you have a whole bunch over there, and into the rest of the provinces over here into Canada. But then really they just have a little bit over here into Minnesota, into Minneapolis, into Wisconsin, into Illinois, Chicago, and then into Iowa, and then there you go to Kansas City, and then down into Texas, and a little bit into Mississippi, Louisiana, and then into Mexico. But you don't have this monster that is what we're going to get now when it comes to BNSF and CSX. Look at how much different that is compared to what you had. And you make a great point there, Grand Trunk Line. What we have now with BNSF and, I'm sorry, not BNSF and CSX, but with the merger between
Union Pacific
man.
and Norfolk.
Yeah, hold on. Wait, the timer just went off. That just went in. Yeah, Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern. Is that, again, you have two massive railroads at two ends of the country to create the first transcontinental railroad. That's, again, you're talking about, again, more monopolization, more consolidation, and it just leads to the same thing over again. It's going to lead to mass layoffs. It's going to lead to more of a lethargic and a crumbling railroad network. And it's just going to lead to just more money for the shareholders. That's it. As they step everything up. Yeah, go ahead.
You know who's really going to feel the pinch, though? It's going to be the short lines. They're going to really feel the pinch.
that's right.
Yes, that is.
That's going to be less business. So, like bridge lines that compete with the other railroads or main rail, with the big railroads are going to struggle.
Oh yeah, the bridge line railroads, which are mostly Class 2 and Class 3s, they're going to get screwed over bad. Like,
the local railroad right now, the Iowa Interstate, already doesn't do too much. I'd imagine that will probably shut down.
No, and that's where you find
enough business.
And that's where you find the most innovation and the most community-centric type of railroading is going to come from the Class 2s and Class 3s. Look, no Class 1 brought back passenger railroads. It took a Class 2, Florida East Coast, and a spin-off, Brightline, to go ahead and bring back passenger rail lines, and not just passenger rail line, but high-speed rail. we're not seeing that sort of innovation from any of the Class 1s. They're just stuck in this make money
the
loop.
Florida East Coast Railroad is in a prime location for passenger rail. And I mean prime.
Yeah, it was perfect moment, perfect timing, perfect location. The stars aligned for that one, without a doubt.
Mm.
Alrighty, who's
right.
next? Adam Everywhere. 2 minutes. Go ahead and say whatever you want, man. Not whatever you want, but within reason. Go ahead.
What's ever within reason?
Okay, so how's everybody doing?
Please.
We're good, man. We're good. Go
I'm
ahead.
doing great.
Yeah, you good? Okay, so I came back on vacation a few days ago. Went from Boston and over to New England and back again. Originally took New Excel and it was amazing. I thought the seats were hard, but it wasn't that bad. That was just on the Excel.
That good.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You took pictures and did you take any pictures?
Yeah, plenty of pictures.
Nice.
Basically went for Boston, New Hampshire, Vermont, back to Massachusetts, went to Connecticut, then Rhode Island and back. Basically did a whole loop.
Had a real nice hour.
Oh, yes, and now it's just last week I came back.
That's good, man.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Nice
I sent.
I just snuck a meme in.
Is there a meme?
And I also, what?
Oh, okay. We'll look at it later. Adam, go ahead and finish. Apologies.
Yeah, I posted some from newsletters on Discord for you to see. Went into the chat name. I posted like 3 links. Talk about what's happening since you were talking for at least 30 minutes or so.
All right, here we go.
Talk about the difference between Wales and the United States and Wales and Europe, and how do they work differently in terms of businesses, and what do they actually hold or take from one country to the other country?
Yep.
Yeah, it's not the same then.
Yeah, there's some things that we can take away. Again, we don't have to copy, and we probably shouldn't be copying everything that Europe is doing. Not everything that they're doing is wonderful and grand, especially when it comes to things like free speech and all that sort of stuff. But again, when it comes to the railroads, Europe has a more market friendly and a more actual free market when it comes to the railroads. You look at Spain, you have multiple operators, multiple companies operating high-speed rail on the same lines and different lines. You don't have that in the United States. So they've actually gone ahead and innovated and become more market-friendly in railroads, where you have private companies, public government companies, they're all competing more or less on the same railroads. We don't have this in the United States.
And not only that, many of the high-speed rail companies have basically like a low-cost version of their company as a spin-off that runs on the same rails.
Yeah. Here we go. There's
it's just economy only, but it's still better than nothing.
Yeah. So here you go. Here's an actual free market. How Spain became the arena for high-speed rail competition. The Madrid-Barcelona high-speed route in Spain currently has 4 operators battling out for customers, something of a triumph for anti-monopoly efforts on the railways. There you go. In Spain. Mm-hmm. In Spain, where they go ahead and take naps for 3 hours a day. There you go. So yeah, you don't have to work to death, and you can have there you go. Different types of railroads, different types of equipment, different companies, all competing on the same line. You can take something that's $7 if you don't feel like going that fast, or you can take something that's $50, $60, and heck, all the prices have gone a lot lower than the airlines. That the airlines don't even compete there anymore, because it just doesn't make any sense for them, because this is just the better way to get around.
It is, and it should be everywhere, but somehow that doesn't exist here in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a slight issue when you go from the standard gauge to the Iberian gauge, but they have specialty cars to deal with that.
Yeah, there you go. That's innovation. You imagine doing something like that in the United States. Forget it. Heck, when they tried running European-style railroads at the same sort of gauge, so the same width of the wheels, they fit onto European high-speed rail, fits on American railroads. The problem with American railroad, the lines in particular, on Amtrak and Northeast Corridor, they were so messed up and busted that the trains couldn't run as fast, and that's kind of the problem that we still have today. We don't have that sort of innovative mindset anymore in this country. Or let's put it this way: that innovative mindset is put to the back burner because you have, again, all these activist companies. They want to make money. It's precision skills with railroading is what matters more. Not and stockholder operating revenue, not innovation.
So
Dimitri, I'm going to be honest. I will say that in our lifetime, we're probably going to be seeing a massive ban on PSR. There's probably going to be a ban in the future on PSR. That for sure.
probably, but
They
I think it
won't
depends
ban
on what
PSR.
it's at.
Sadly, they won't
saying-
ban it because if they were to ban it, it would have such a massive effect on the railroad industry.
Yeah,
it'd
let's.
be affected to the
It would
company.
almost shut
Well,
down.
speaking of dump trucker,
What
you
we have
have
to
it.
do
Hold
is
on.
we have to slowly begin outlawing PSR.
Yeah, dump trucker, you can
I
go
don't
ahead.
know,
You have 2
sure.
minutes to go ahead and speak. Go ahead, and then we'll go to Star Force, and then we'll go over Nell, and then we'll go Brightline Fan.
All right. Well, I was going to touch on what you were saying earlier on the trucking industry thing. The reason everyone uses trucks is because it's cheaper than a train, where a train could sit in a yard and it would take and they want to get that load from one place to another ASAP. They want to have that as soon as possible. They don't want that. Now, if a load has to go from like New York to Denver, they'll put it on a train because that's more efficient. But if it's like Minneapolis to Kansas City, they're just gonna put on a truck and send it off. And in Texas, there's this company, I think it's Aurora Trucking. They made autonomous trucks. No humans. Just truck
Oh.
with no one inside of it. And it drove perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'd heard about in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, that's been increasing more, and that's
we are about to teach AI how to replace everyone. Wait till we start seeing driverless trains ran by AI.
Oh, that's already been happening.
We've had the technology to make driverless trains since the 1960s.
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry. Driverless trains since 1960s. You mean all they did was put the thing in full throttle, release the brake, and hop out?
Well, they've been able to make them start and stop, which is why we've had automated train
Oh, the
systems. But they're
automated
mainly
thing.
used in subways
And rail yards because they can watch it, but there's always a set of controls in the locomotive, and they'll always kind of get in and out. This truck literally went down the road with nobody inside of it.
Hey, let's not forget that railroad in Australia that you autonomous train to carry ore.
I haven't even
Let's
heard
not
about
forget
that in a long time.
Yeah, that was back in 2018. Oh man, what was the company that did it?
Did that ever go through?
No, they still use it here and there, but I mean, at least with train, when it comes to trains, doing AI driven stuff, it's a lot easier. And again, like what Minor Tree said, that sort of technology has been around. In fact, you can go back even further. They've sort of had autonomous trains even at the turn of the century. Not used like it was just mechanically automated. So a train would go ahead and it would change gears. When it would slow down and get to stations, people would get off, people would get on, and it would speed up again on different gears. But that sort of technology has existed for quite a while. Even the Tokyo subways, there have been multiple times where the engineers have said that the trains can run automated and they can be. The only reason that they have people on there is A, to provide, again, part of the Japanese culture is to provide people a job, and B, to also have there for the safety reasons, because machines are going to fail. They're always going to fail at some point, but you always have to have somebody at the helm. These
trucks, according to the video, these trucks didn't have anyone controlling them except for AI. They just let AI take the wheel.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the article so I can put that up here for real quick for everybody to go ahead and see. Yeah, because this was quite recent. I'm trying to see if I can get the the article. I don't remember the exact company that did it, but yeah, they had nobody within. If I remember correctly, nobody was in the cab. They just had somebody follow it, but it completed an entire route all by itself.
I
Yeah.
found
Yeah,
a video
the
for you to
up and-
look at.
Yeah, if you have the video, let me go ahead.
Yeah,
There's a
Perfect.
video on the chat for you to look at. It's a little short.
Yeah, but to put things into perspective, the Lockheed L 1011 was the first commercial airliner that was able to fly itself from takeoff to landing back in the 1970s.
Yeah,
But
then
also
people,
the first.
and not too long ago, everyone was like, "I don't trust a plane without a person in it."
Yeah, and again,
Which
you
is
have to
why
have,
I don't trust.
yeah, can you have autonomous airlines? Certainly, but nobody's going to feel comfortable at all in it. Again, which is why you have pilots. They're mostly controlling the plane during takeoff and landing. But once they get up to cruising altitude, they just turn on autopilot and they're watching it here and there, making some fine adjustments. Again, I'm not the pilot over here. We do have an actual pilot to go ahead and say it. So let me give it back to Binder Tree to go ahead and explain it a little bit more.
Basically, when it comes to flying a plane, you just have to control the thrust, the ailerons, the elevators, and the rudder, which we already know about. And with the invention of the GPS systems, the systems are more accurate than ever. And basically, almost every single airliner is designed to basically fly without a pilot. So in the case of an emergency and both pilots go down, you can technically put it on autopilot and it'll automatically land. Whether it'll be soft or not is another question entirely. But technically, you technically can fly it without any pilots involved. It just does not go well with the public at large.
Yeah. Alrighty. I'm doing really bad with the 2 minutes here, guys. So let's go ahead and move forward. Let's get to Renell. Let's get to Brightline, Star Force, and then Darius, and then we'll leave it open. All right. Renell, go ahead if you're there. Renell, going once. Renell Reed, you're on deck to go ahead and speak. All righty. Once, twice. Enjoy that chicken, David. And so, okay. Brightline fan, go ahead. You got 2 minutes.
All right. Basically, what Ancora is doing, there are a bunch of counters who don't know, or honestly, they do know what they're doing, but they're evil, actually. It's the Boeing situation all over again. It's the Boeing situation all over again. They don't know how PSR harms the railroads. They don't know what PSR does. They only think about PSR making money. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, and the other thing is, according to most industry experts, they don't even understand how most of the railroads work. They just say, okay, if CEO is not making enough money for us, we change to other CEO. One Pokemon is not working, get them out, put other Pokemon in.
Yeah, basically. I don't think they care about safety. They care about profits. Same as the Boeing company. Remember the Boeing 737 MAX that actually crashed twice?
Oh yeah.
It crashed twice within 3 months of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And that made everybody question Boeing, and I still don't trust Boeing.
Yeah.
And then if you happen to go ahead and say, if you happen to blow the whistle on them, Hillary Clinton comes to visit you.
Oh, exactly. More than just that, they're going to come and you'll probably go to heaven a little bit earlier than you were hoping.
Yeah. Brightline fan
you're going to go run away to a random country.
Yeah. Brightline fan, anything else you wanted to add?
Exactly. Also, about that's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen with CSX and the Class 1s as well. Remember the East Palestine disaster. They want that to happen.
Oh yeah, I think another one far worse is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that sort of stuff, and that's a true thing. When it comes to now, what we're seeing, these sort of controlled demolitions of companies, like what happened to Bud Light. They went ahead and did whatever they did with Bud Light, ticked everybody off. having that whatever thing go ahead and promote Bud Light. The stocks went down. What happened? Oh, it was a sale for Bud Light. If you were an institutional investor, knowing what was going to happen, and there was a lot of activity right before that announcement that people did sell, a lot of institutional investors did sell their stock, rebuy it at the bottom, and now where's Bud Light right now? They're doing a heck of a lot better right now. Okay, same thing with all the rest of the companies whenever they have this sort of stuff. Jaguar, the same thing is probably going to happen. Okay, and we've been seeing this more and more often. Norfolk Southern, look at their stock. Went down during East Palestine, it went back up. That was something that probably was going to happen before or anything like that, but we see this over and over again where you just see this, again, they're just making money by just continuing to enshitten the economy. There's really no other more vulgar way to say that, but that's just what it is.
We call that enshittification.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's a technical term.
Exactly.
There you go. So it actually is a real term. Okay. All righty. Star Force 97. Go ahead. You got the 2 minutes.
First we have the the CPKC merger, which is basically running north to south, and now you're going to have an east-west merger between UP and NS. And I just hope it stays that way, because we do not need to have CSX and BNSF merge and try to work our way towards, because you know the way things are going. I swear that it's gonna be UP and BNSF, and that as being the only 2 Class 1 railroads, and we do not need another Conrail situation.
Okay,
Well-
yeah, and we're heading into that now, because I mean this is worse than Conrail. This is like Conrail times probably 20.
We're gonna get another Conrail. I hate to say it, we're getting another Conrail.
Yeah, but the thing is, it'd be 100% privatized and not government.
But it has to be nationalized.
Apologies, side rail over here. Yeah, enshittification is an actual term. It's exactly what we're talking about. Initially, vendors create high-quality offerings, track uses, and they degrade those offerings to better serve business customers, such as advertisers, and finally degrade their services to users and business customers to maximize profits for shareholders. Yeah, this is the enshittification. Real term, YouTube. Real term, everybody. Enshittification of the railroads. This is what we're seeing it in real time.
All right, I'm back, guys. Sorry.
All righty. Yeah, no worries. Star Force. Anything else you wanted to add into the conversation?
Yeah. But I also, and at the same time, I also feel like, I remember, like, how Chicago's having the whole ICE thing happening now.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it's similar. It's the more that I look into it, I feel like the more it's like, how they're just installing like unarmed security and stuff like that on trains. It kind of feels like that, but more on a citywide scale than just the public transportation. And then, when you have them there, and then like they're not doing much, and then they're being intimidated and everything. I just feel bad for them, the people at ICE who are having to deal with that. So, I mean, the purpose of them is to actually like get the illegals out of the cities and stuff like that. And I've been telling people, I'm just hoping that the crime is going to go down, because it is really crime ridden. So
yeah, no, it's bad. And then people going ahead and saying, "Oh no, Chicago's fine, everything's fine." No, it's not. I mean, even when I was there, I mean, look, Chicago is honestly probably the most beautiful city in the United States, bar none. Just architecturally, there's no other city that compares to Chicago. So even New York, and sorry, I love New York, and I've gone to New York. New York doesn't hold a candle architecturally to Chicago. Okay, it's a wonderful, beautiful city. The problem is that the weekend that I was there, Streeterville got completely run over by like 300 youths that went ahead all over the place. Now that's not something that happens in a normal city. That's not something that happens in actual regular, normal places.
It sounds like some
I
youth
can't
are.
stop to think of the song "Ice Ice Baby." Ice,
Well,
baby.
it sounds like. Well, the easy way of solving it is to get those youths together, and they're going to help the community by doing a few hundred hours of community service.
There you go. Alrighty, last but not least, Darius. Go ahead. You got your 2 minutes, man. There you go. Alrighty, go ahead.
All right, here I am. Okay. All right, what was I going to say? Oh, so. All right. Trying to think of it. Just don't start. Just don't start it yet. All right, so we should have a. We should work for an economy that will put us, the working class first. Like specifically the working American struggling to get by.
Actually,
And the thing that two juggernauts, the right and the left, each have their own solution, has now shown their true face. They don't want, neither one of them want any opposition. Either they'll both like free speech, claim to like free speech. Just tonight on Fox News, I heard that some Trump supporters were placed on a no-fly list and a Quiet Skies list, like Tulsi Gabbard. But ironically, a few weeks back, there was a Republican senator that was putting a bill that would strip passports from people who spoke out against, people who disagree with the administration over the term called funding terrorism. But thanks to civil rights groups, thankfully that has been struck down.
Yeah, no, this is what we're seeing from both. We're not seeing any real solutions from any side. The left is worse, and the right is just retarded. We're not finding any sort of real, actual, innovative solutions, or just actual, real proven solutions that actually fix the economy, bring people back to work, get rid of people that are again, repeated criminal behavior over and over again. It's just, originally this we were going to talk about that sort of stuff here, but
go to the left, we're called fascist because we're called fascist and MAGA extremists. But if we do the same to the right, holding our same ideas, we probably get branded as socialists or communists. Remember McCarthy?
Just remember, anybody right of Stalin is far right.
Yeah, and we're at a point that we can't really argue with the people on the left. There's like basically no way or no common ground that we can argue with them anymore, and then we're stuck with a whole bunch of dummies on the right that can't figure out what actual reality is and what we're actually facing existentially as a country.
I don't think the American dream even exists anymore. We're living in an American dream. It does not exist anymore.
Well, it exists. It's just
it does exist, but
what
it's
is
not
being sold as the American dream is the American dream. Because owning a house with a white picket fence is not the American dream. It's to be able to build your own future without being told, no, you can't do that because we took that right away from you, but we'll sell it back to you and call it a license. And we'll say, hey, you can't do that unless you're a major business that we approve of.
Bro, you know how property prices are going up? It's really hard for Gen Z to, I don't know, build up, get their life together.
I've been following it for well over a decade.
Yeah.
Well, 2 decades by now.
I've been keeping an eye on prices, and yeah, prices around my area are not going down anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're going to have a market correction in the coming weeks, though. If what happens is what I worry about, it's going to get really, really severe. if it gets out of
Oh,
hand.
I know.
No, we're preparing for that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's just the rubber band is getting stretched so thin right now that when it's gonna break, it's gonna really hurt. And we're at a point. I mean, we keep saying everything's gonna collapse. Everything's gonna collapse. I don't know, like this whole level of enshittification, which again, real term that I learned today. I know it was like a term that just kept going around. Now today I learned that it's an actual real term. I thought this was just a meme term at this point. But yeah,
it's a software term.
I know, but what we're seeing now is that this is just continuing on, and it's just America's just going to look like Cyberpunk 2077. We're already there, except we don't have any of the cool technology. Okay, we're just stuck with Clown World 2025. It just keeps getting worse.
At this,
we had no idea what any of those are.
At this point, we're living in a South Park episode.
We all
but we can't go. But we
Occupy
can't go
Wall
streaming.
Street did have their points.
Oh my god, the kill skinny.
Occupy Wall Street did have their points.
Yeah, but notice how almost immediately they took that down and they pushed everything or took all the energy of
and mafia.
Yeah, they took everything from Occupy Wall Street and took that energy into DEI because they knew, both the left and the right are getting upset about the same thing. We cannot have that happen. So let's get the left to go completely turbo insane when it comes to sort of these DEI initiatives, which are again held by the same people. Like these companies like Ancora and all these other else, all the left is doing is following corporation protocol. They're not this whole fantasy that they think that there's some sort of rebel out of Star Wars or some sort of Marvel cape crap, garbage film or whatever. Now they're not. They're doing this exactly what these corporations want them to do.
How ironic considering they are the left. Because they think they're anti-capitalist, but in the end, they're just corporate pawns.
Well, the worst part about it is the Occupy Wall Street was done by all parties, but it started more as a libertarian movement. It's just the libertarians and anybody to the right went home or went back to work, whereas the leftists stayed out there and they kept it going, which is why it's only remembered for its later part, which is why they kept the movement going, which is why they got institutional power.
Yeah, because I know a whole lot of those guys who were involved at the beginning, Occupy Wall Street would later become what would be the beginning of the Tea Party. And then that morphed later on to later forms of libertarianism. And at this point, libertarianism is just, look, forget it. It works in theory, but that's the problem, is that we're stuck working in theory rather than practical, pragmatic solutions. And thinking that everybody's...
Libertarianism, it makes sense for personal liberties. It does make sense for that, but...
Right, but here's the problem.
Grows,
Hold on. I was just about to get to that point. The problem is with libertarianism is that you're expecting everybody else to play by the same rules or by the same level of decorum. And you cannot have that with people who will just definitely backstab you and think that sort of thinking is that, we have to play by some sort of rules. Well, you're a sucker if you play by the rules. I'm going to go ahead and make my own rules. I'm going to lobby the government to make it illegal for you to run. And I'm going to make it as easy for me to run my own sort of stuff. And that's the problem. That's where libertarianism always comes to a head and always fails. So we cannot keep just saying that, we can try to some libertarian... No, it's not working. So we've all moved on in some sort of way or another. It was nice in theory. It was nice, but it's like, we can't. It's now time for speak softly and carry a big stick.
I think it's not roads about back.
You know what? I would actually bring that. I would actually bring a stick and give that. I would bring a stick into Ancora HQ and.
All right, guys! No Fed posting. No Fed posting. No Fed posting. Where's our?
We need Discord TOS.
We like to troll. We like to go the night before one of their primaries. We do a little trolling. It's called we do a little trolling.
There you go. It's just a little trolling, guys. Nothing real.
Just a reminder, everyone: the new Discord TOS rules state you cannot say anything that incites violence.
Yeah, guys, let's look. Like again, which is crazy because all that's been happening the last couple of weeks has been violence.
You have to throw out the baseball bats. We have to take the baseball bats and throw them away.
No, hey, look, we're coming on to the postseason. Come on, man! I'm all the way for the Brewers. Okay, Milwaukee Brewers. This is gonna be their year. They're gonna go all the way to the World Series, man. Okay, come on, let's go. Let's go Brewers.
You just jinxed them. You just jinxed them. They're gonna lose in the first round, and they're gonna get swept.
Like always, they will. They'll always lose in the first round. Like, they do so good the whole entire regular season, and then they mess up.
Can I tell you something? I don't watch baseball, and I don't like baseball.
It's a water season. It's basically the last step.
You're free to disagree. If you don't like baseball, that's fine. But if you don't like baseball, well, it's not.
I never grew up with a good baseball team.
Either you're a Yankees fan or a Red Sox fan.
Oh man! Speaking of, I haven't kept up with the game. I know my wife is probably watching it. It's finished already.
With all the memes.
Alrighty, guys.
That movie from Dumb and Dumber, where the guys were approached by that bus with the hot chicks on board. It's like, hey, and then the guy's like, he's like, this is town. 3 miles that way. I'm sure you'll find somebody. And I think it was the Knicks pointing in the Cincinnati Reds. So it was Knicks telling the Cincinnati, telling them, hey, go to Cincinnati. You'll find people there. To find that video again.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, guys, we're heading on to 9:44. Let's cut this off at 9:45, and then at least the stream, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, a lot to talk about. Apologies for everybody in the YouTube chat. Let me see what else was going on over there, and let's address that, and then call this a night. Morally gray to good for rail. Avoidable safety issues. Yeah. Again, the whole wording of this entire presentation, it's just a lot to be, again, be aware of these sorts of companies. Obviously, the chimping out at local committee meetings and all that sort of stuff, like it's working, at least for the time being, for a lot of these data centers. Again, the problem isn't the data centers themselves. Data centers, we can have that sort of stuff. We don't have the capacity for it. We shouldn't even be talking about data centers until we have, hold on a second.
The N-word. You know what the N-word is? It's, no. It's the nuclear word. He mentioned the N-word, yes.
So we can't talk about we can't talk about data centers unless we want to talk about electricity, fine. We need to start having nuclear energy. We really want to build something in this country, fine. Let's start at the first step first. But yeah.
The problem that you're going to run into is that there is so much data on the internet, they need a place to put it, and that's what the server rooms are for.
Yeah, we know that. Or place them in post-industrial areas. Don't be buying up a whole bunch of farmland and turning it into giant buildings.
Here's the thing. They're going where there isn't much crime, because then they don't have to hire that many people.
That's true. That is true.
But also, some of them, like,
yes, to get a point.
They look like they're very secure, but they have very little staff.
And they got nothing holding them back.
Yeah, well, really the main reason they're buying it up is the land is stupidly cheap. That's the other big reason, too.
Yeah, but just remember, no matter how bad your company is, since it's the end of September, this is the last day of the month that you can whine about them, and you realize Union Pacific is bad, but they're not the worst.
Yeah, that's the problem. Things, with everything right now, like things are bad, but they can always be worse. Like again, look at Norfolk Southern's CEO. He was a piece of garbage. But you know what? What happened afterwards is worse. There's a lot of things. It's like we keep saying over here. It's gonna get worse before it gets worse. But yeah, guys.
It's like you all suck. You suck a little bit less than the other guy.
Hold on, we got a question.
Read the
Okay,
meme.
let's hold on. We have a question here from YouTube. Heartless Fiend, what do you guys think of the looming government shutdown?
It's gonna happen. It's gonna
The
happen.
only big
What happened
rumors
a
I'm
couple
concerned
years
about
ago?
is where are my benefits?
Yeah, it's gonna
Oh,
happen.
just like
anyways.
Social
We need some
Security?
Democrats.
Yeah, Social Security's gonna be
Let
going away.
happen. That's what I say.
Let it
But
happen.
Not in my backyard, Sonny. They're also in this corporation Ponzi scheme too.
no. But
The
also,
Margaritaville's, the HOAs, the Karens.
HOA think. Yep. All that.
Oh,
Post
no,
office.
no.
Yeah, I mean,
post
this
office
is
is
it's
over.
more or less the same stuff. I don't see it as going to be that sort of thing. The markets will be down for a bit. So, hey, if you want a discount of some stocks, it's tomorrow's going to be your day with the government shutdown.
No.
No, wait.
But
You have
what's
to go on the
tomorrow?
Pelosi tracker to see
mortgage
what
deals?
stocks are good buys.
I think mortgage is good.
You gotta go on the
But-
Pelosi tracker.
Yeah.
We gotta find the good buys.
Yeah, if we can. Well, unfortunately, Ancora Holdings is privately owned. Again, private investment company. Yeah, we just got to pull together everything into one corporation or one investment company that we can own, and then get in trouble by the SEC, like what happened with GameStop. But yeah, there's really is there really any good way against this?
I don't think there's a regulation saying.
Oh man, but yeah, look, like the best way we can do is like I keep saying, just guys, just keep taking care of yourself. Keep trying to be as self-sustainable as possible. Our time is going to come at some point. At least for us or for our children, we're going to get there. But it's going to be a long slog up, so we have to keep fighting the good fights. That's as much as we can do. That's the only pragmatic way. All righty, guys. Yeah, that's it. Just enjoy the journey somehow. Alrighty, guys, we're at 9:49. We're gonna end this at 9:50. I know we're 5 minutes ahead. This has been a long slog of a stream, and we got a bit of a late start, but we got there at the station anyway. So sorry, we don't do PSR here. No PSR on this channel, guys. We are running like a Spanish railroad. We are high speed, but sometimes you gotta have a siesta here, folks. All right. Enjoy the night, everybody. Enjoy the week. I hope you all have a great time. Stay safe out there. Godspeed. Thank you all for joining on board. We will see you all next time on the American Rail Club. Take care.
Bye. Train has arrived at the station.